Ever wondered why some people consistently achieve their biggest goals while others remain stuck in endless planning? The audiobook, Strategic Planning, The Art of Mapping Goals into Reality, reveals the proven system that transforms ambitious dreams into inevitable achievements. Master this framework to gain clarity, momentum, and unstoppable progress, or risk watching your goals remain perpetually out of reach while others turn similar aspirations into their lived reality. Chapter 1: Vision Map. What if the clearest picture of your future could act like a powerful magnet, pulling your dreams toward reality with unstoppable force? Imagine a vision so vibrant and compelling that it makes every decision you face simpler, every action you take purposeful, and every obstacle you encounter merely a stepping stone toward achieving what matters most to you. This isn't merely daydreaming, it's strategic foresight, scientifically validated and practically invaluable. This chapter introduces you to the profound art of creating your vision map, a vivid mental North Star designed to guide and energize every step of your journey. The power of a clear vision lies in its ability to engage your senses and emotions fully. Your brain, an exceptional simulator of reality, reacts to vividly imagined futures almost as if they were happening right now. Research confirms that multisensory mental simulations not only prime your neural circuits for success, but also significantly increase sustained attention, making your goals feel immediate and achievable. Thus, the first step in strategic planning is to craft a vision that is richly detailed and deeply felt. Begin by visualizing your ideal future in precise, colorful detail. Picture it as clearly as watching a captivating film. Notice the colors around you. Are they bright and invigorating or calm and soothing? Feel yourself moving through this future scenario. Are your movements swift and purposeful or deliberate and graceful? Incorporate dynamic motion cues that resonate with your ultimate goals. As you build this scene, layer it with sounds that complement your vision. Hear the ambient noises, the hum of focused productivity, the buzz of engaging dialogue, or perhaps an inspiring soundtrack echoing softly in the background. Next, anchor this visualization in powerful somatic and emotional experiences. Sense the temperature around you. Is it crisp and energizing or warm and comforting? Notice your posture and the emotional tone you feel. Perhaps there's an unmistakable sense of accomplishment, deep satisfaction, or exhilarating anticipation. By linking these emotional and physical sensations directly to your vision, you create a neural imprint that motivates your subconscious to guide your behaviors effortlessly toward making this vision a tangible reality. However, the potency of your vision goes beyond sensory details alone. It must also resonate deeply with your core values. Psychological studies rooted in self-determination theory demonstrate conclusively that visions aligned with intrinsic values, autonomy, competence, and connectedness, fuel powerful internal motivation. Imagine each element of your vision as a building block. Each block must score high on personal autonomy. It's truly yours, free from external pressures. Competence. It leverages your strengths and skills. And relatedness. It enhances your meaningful connections. Evaluate each component of your vision using these criteria on a scale of 1 to 10, then relentlessly refine or discard any that fall short. Only elements that resonate deeply, scoring 8 or higher, earn a place in your final vision map. Yet, a vivid and emotionally resonant vision alone is insufficient without a strategic path to reach it. Here, the science of backcasting comes into play, a method developed from systems thinking that starts with your desired end state and maps backward to your present situation. This backward journey reveals key milestones and leverage points necessary to realize your vision. Begin this step by brain dumping all essential attributes and elements of your ultimate goal onto paper. Then map logical dependencies backward from this ideal endpoint to your current status. This method not only clarifies critical dependencies, but highlights high-leverage actions, those crucial milestones where achieving one goal opens numerous subsequent possibilities. But why does this approach resonate so effectively with human cognition? Neuroscience research points toward the dopaminergic anticipation loop, a powerful cognitive mechanism triggered when your brain predicts rewarding outcomes. Each clearly defined milestone, when vividly imagined and strategically sequenced, becomes a mini reward your brain eagerly anticipates. This anticipatory excitement does more than simply energize you. It literally reshapes your brain's pathways, making goal-oriented actions increasingly habitual and effortless. Further reinforcing this approach is the cognitive process known as episodic future thinking. This mental rehearsal solidifies your future plans within your memory networks, making your desired outcomes feel almost preordained. Essentially, your mind treats vividly imagined future events as significant memories, cementing them into your consciousness and systematically reducing psychological friction each time you pursue related tasks. Crafting your vision map also dramatically decreases cognitive load, simplifying complex ambitions into manageable, actionable chunks. Instead of being overwhelmed by daunting ambitions, each daily action becomes straightforward, guided effortlessly by your vivid, sensory-rich vision. By condensing abstract aspirations into clearly visualized actions and milestones, you eliminate decision fatigue, freeing your mental resources to focus on execution and innovation. Throughout this strategic process, practical tools will significantly enhance your ability to translate visionary insights into concrete actions. A one-page vision canvas can succinctly capture your multisensory scene, core values alignment, and milestone structure at a glance, providing constant clarity. A day-in-the-life script worksheet encourages you to detail your vision with meticulous sensory precision, helping you embody your future now. Additionally, employing a reverse roadmap board, complete with timelines and color-coded nodes, will visually crystallize your strategic backcasting process, ensuring you stay continuously aligned and oriented toward your ultimate aim. However, the path toward realizing a vision is not without its challenges. Visionary thinkers risk dream inflation, a scenario where ambitious goals grow detached from reality. To counteract this, regularly apply a 10% plausibility test to your milestones. This ensures your aspirations remain ambitious yet grounded enough to feel attainable. Equally dangerous is external expectation creep, where outside influences subtly distort your vision, diminishing its intrinsic motivational power. Guard against this by regularly auditing your vision against an autonomy checklist, reinforcing that every aspect genuinely originates from and resonates deeply with you. Your journey toward a powerful strategic vision starts today. Engage now in immediate practical exercises. Dedicate just 15 minutes to a cinematic future drill, a free-writing exploration of your ideal scenario rich in sensory detail. Conduct an anchor audit, systematically scoring and refining your vision elements against your core values. And finally, launch a quick reverse roadmap sticky note exercise to crystallize your milestones and dependencies visually. But crafting your vision map is merely the beginning. Once your compelling North Star is clear, vibrant, and aligned with your core values, the real challenge emerges, transforming this visionary clarity into actionable precision. Yet how exactly do you distill broad ambitions into specific, measurable outcomes? The answer awaits, intriguingly hidden within the precise, powerful techniques you'll uncover in the next chapter: goal precision. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2, Goal Precision. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to accomplish remarkable things while others remain perpetually stuck in the planning phase? The difference often lies not in talent or resources, but in something far more fundamental, yet frequently overlooked. It's a quality that transforms vague aspirations into inevitable achievements, a quality we'll explore deeply in this chapter. Your vision map from Chapter 1 provides the destination, the compelling where of your journey. But even the most vivid vision remains merely a beautiful dream without the next crucial element. This missing piece acts like a bridge, connecting your imaginative future to your present reality through concrete, actionable steps. This bridge is goal precision, the art of translating broad aspirations into clearly bounded, measurable objectives that sharpen your focus and accelerate decision-making. When mastered, this skill transforms the abstract into the tangible, the someday into the specific, and the hopeful into the inevitable. The power of precision in goal setting isn't just intuitive, it's scientifically validated. Decades of research by psychologists Edwin Locke and Gary Latham revealed a consistent pattern. Specific and challenging goals dramatically outperform vague or easy ones across virtually every domain of human endeavor. Their work, now expanded through a recent meta-analysis of 110 group goal experiments, confirms that precision creates clarity, and clarity drives action. Think about the difference between "I want to improve my professional skills" versus "I will complete 3 advanced certification modules with a minimum score of 85% by March 31st. The second approach creates immediate focus, eliminates ambiguity, and establishes clear criteria for success. This precision doesn't just clarify what you're aiming for, it fundamentally changes how your brain processes the goal itself. This transformation begins with what psychologists call the outcome ladder, a systematic process that converts your vision into increasingly specific objectives and key results. Picture this ladder as having 3 critical rungs: your vision at the top, your objectives in the middle, and your key results at the bottom. Each rung increases in specificity and measurability as you descend. Start by drafting high-impact objectives that directly support your vision. These objectives should be significant enough to meaningfully advance your vision, yet specific enough to guide action. Use vision-to-objective laddering prompts, such as, "What major milestone would represent substantial progress toward my vision?" Or, "What achievement would make my vision significantly more attainable?" A powerful technique for crafting effective objectives is applying the 70% confidence stretch filter. Ask yourself, am I about 70% confident I can achieve this objective with focused effort? If your confidence exceeds 90%, the objective is likely too easy and won't drive growth. If it's below 50%, it may be unrealistically ambitious, potentially leading to discouragement. The sweet spot, around 70% confidence, creates the optimal balance between challenge and attainability. Once you've established your objectives, the next step is forging key results, KRs, the specific, measurable outcomes that will indicate objective achievement. Effective KRs identify clear metrics across 4 potential categories: inputs, resources committed; throughput, process efficiency; outputs, direct production; and outcomes, ultimate impact. Each KR must pass the measurability stress test. Can it be expressed as a binary, yes, no, or numeric value? If not, it requires further refinement. For each KR, assign specific evidence sources and update cadences. What data will prove progress? How and when will you measure it? For instance, if your KR involves increasing client engagement, specify exactly how engagement will be measured, e.g., response rate, meeting frequency, or project expansion, and how often you'll review this data: weekly, monthly, quarterly. The framework you choose for structuring your goals significantly impacts their effectiveness. 3 primary frameworks dominate the landscape: SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound; FAST, frequently discussed, ambitious, specific, transparent; and OKRs, objectives and key results. Each offers distinct advantages depending on your context. SMART goals excel in clarity and comprehensiveness, making them ideal for individual contributors or well-defined projects. FAST goals emphasize regular communication and transparency, making them particularly effective in dynamic team environments. OKRs shine in organizational settings where alignment across multiple teams is essential, creating a clear hierarchy of objectives that cascade throughout the organization. In many cases, a hybrid approach proves most effective. The SMA FAST recipe combines the specificity and measurability of SMART goals with the transparency and ambitious nature of FAST goals. This hybrid works particularly well for cross-functional initiatives where both individual clarity and team alignment are crucial. Regardless of the framework you choose, visibility and accountability mechanisms dramatically increase goal achievement rates. Public dashboards, whether in Notion, Jira, Google Sheets, or dedicated goal tracking software, transform private intentions into public commitments. This visibility creates positive social pressure that significantly boosts follow-through. Complement these dashboards with a weekly KR health check ritual, a focused 15-minute review of progress, obstacles, and next steps for each key result. This regular cadence prevents goals from fading into the background amid daily urgencies. For even stronger accountability, consider establishing a peer commitment contract, partnering with someone who will hold you to your stated intentions through regular check-ins. As you implement goal precision, remain vigilant against common anti-patterns that can undermine your efforts. The vanity metric trap occurs when you select impressive-sounding metrics that don't actually drive meaningful progress. Combat this by regularly asking, if this metric improved dramatically but nothing else changed, would I be significantly closer to my vision? Another common pitfall is objective overload, attempting to pursue too many goals simultaneously, which dilutes focus and reduces achievement across the board. Apply the 3-3 rule as a safeguard. Limit yourself to no more than 3 objectives at once, each with no more than 3 key results. This constraint forces prioritization and concentration of effort where it matters most. In domains characterized by high uncertainty, rigid deadlines can become counterproductive. When innovation or exploration is central to your objectives, consider switching to rolling OKRs, goals that maintain their challenge level but adjust their timelines based on emerging data and learning. Several micro skills can significantly enhance your goal precision. The word count shrink test challenges you to reduce your goal statements by 50%, eliminating fluff and forcing clarity. This exercise often reveals that what initially seemed like a single clear goal was actually multiple goals bundled together or a goal clouded by unnecessary qualifiers. Metric tree mapping visually connects leading indicators, early warning signs, with lagging indicators, ultimate outcomes. This visualization helps you identify the predictive metrics that give you the earliest possible feedback on whether you're on track. Goal visualization flashcards serve as daily primers, combining your precise goal language with elements from your vision map. Reviewing these cards for just 30 seconds each morning primes your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information, to notice opportunities and resources relevant to your goals throughout the day. The impact of goal precision extends far beyond simple task completion. When properly implemented, these techniques fundamentally alter how you allocate attention, make decisions, and evaluate opportunities. They create a filter through which the essential becomes obvious and the extraneous falls away. The journey from vision to reality requires this bridge of precision, the transformation of the imagined into the specific, the desired into the defined. With your vision map guiding your direction and goal precision clarifying your targets, you've established 2 crucial elements of strategic planning. But a critical question remains. With limited time, energy, and resources, how do you determine which precisely defined goals deserve your immediate attention? The answer lies in a powerful sorting mechanism, a system for distinguishing between the merely important and the truly essential, waiting to be discovered in our exploration of the priority matrix. Chapter 3, Priority Matrix. Have you ever reached the end of an exhausting day, feeling like you've been busy every moment, yet somehow made no progress on what truly matters? This all-too-common experience reveals a fundamental truth about achievement. Activity does not equal accomplishment. The most productive people aren't necessarily those who do the most things. They're those who do the right things. But what makes something the right thing to focus on? This question haunts professionals and leaders across every field. With countless demands competing for our limited attention, how do we determine which tasks deserve our precious time and energy? The answer lies in a deceptively simple yet profoundly powerful tool that transforms how we allocate our most valuable resources. This tool, the priority matrix, acts as a filter, separating the vital few actions from the trivial many. When mastered, it ensures your limited bandwidth flows toward the moves that create disproportionate impact, dramatically accelerating progress toward your most meaningful goals. The concept of prioritization isn't new, but most people's approach to it remains dangerously flawed. we instinctively gravitate toward tasks that feel urgent, regardless of their actual importance. This tendency, what researchers at Johns Hopkins University identified as the mere urgency effect, explains why we often tackle the immediate email rather than the strategic project, the ringing phone rather than the deep work that would transform our results. The priority matrix counteracts this natural bias by forcing a critical distinction, separating urgency, time sensitivity, from importance, value creation. This separation occurs through a simple yet powerful quadrant system that categorizes tasks along these two dimensions. Quadrant 1 contains tasks that are both important and urgent, genuine crises and deadline-driven opportunities that require immediate attention. Quadrant 2 holds important but not urgent activities, strategic planning, relationship building, and skill development that create long-term value. Quadrant 3 encompasses urgent but unimportant tasks, interruptions and requests that feel pressing but contribute little to your goals. Finally, Quadrant 4 consists of neither urgent nor important activities, true time wasters that should be eliminated entirely. The transformative insight of the priority matrix is that most people spend far too much time in quadrants 3 and 4 while neglecting the high-leverage activities in quadrant 2. This misallocation explains why many professionals feel perpetually busy yet make minimal progress on their most significant objectives. Implementing the priority matrix begins with a rapid classification exercise I call the Quadrant Blitz. This 5-minute protocol starts with a brain dump of all current tasks and commitments onto individual sticky notes or digital cards. Then, evaluate each item against 2 simple questions. Is this truly important to my vision and objectives? And does this genuinely require immediate attention? Based on your answers, place each item into its appropriate quadrant. To enhance clarity, color code your decisions, perhaps green for quadrant 1, blue for quadrant 2, yellow for quadrant 3, and red for quadrant 4, and timestamp them to track how your priorities evolve over time. This visual system makes your allocation decisions immediately apparent, revealing patterns that might otherwise remain hidden. The next step deepens your prioritization practice through what I call the opportunity cost ledger. This powerful technique acknowledges a fundamental reality. Every yes implies multiple no's. For each commitment you accept, explicitly list what you're sacrificing as a result. Then estimate the potential value lost from each sacrifice. This exercise makes hidden trade-offs visible, often revealing that seemingly important tasks actually come at the expense of even more valuable opportunities. Reviewing your opportunity cost ledger weekly surfaces regret patterns, recurring situations where you consistently sacrifice high-value activities for lower-value ones. These patterns highlight areas where your prioritization system needs refinement, allowing you to make increasingly effective allocation decisions over time. The benefits of sustained priority matrix use extend far beyond better time management. First, it enables bandwidth reallocation to high-leverage tasks, those quadrant 2 activities that create disproportionate long-term value. Research consistently shows that these important but not urgent activities are the primary differentiator between average and exceptional performers across fields. Second, the matrix reduces stress by providing clear permission to offload or delegate quadrant 3 and 4 activities. This elimination of low-value work creates breathing room in your schedule, preventing the cognitive overload that leads to burnout. A 2017 Stanford study found that using 2x2 prioritization grids reduced subjective feelings of overwhelm by 26%, a significant improvement in psychological well-being. Third, the matrix protects momentum on your most important projects by creating buffers for quadrant 2 work. By explicitly scheduling time for these high-value activities before filling your calendar with urgent matters, you ensure steady progress on initiatives that truly move the needle. To fully capture these benefits, you need appropriate implementation infrastructure. This can be as simple as an analog wallboard with quadrants drawn on it and sticky notes representing tasks. Alternatively, digital tools like Trello, ClickUp, or Asana can be configured with quadrant-based workflows. The key is selecting a system visible enough to influence daily decisions, yet flexible enough to evolve as your priorities shift. Whatever system you choose should support a weekly priority sync, a brief but focused meeting with yourself or your team to review quadrant distribution and realign resources with strategic objectives. This regular cadence prevents priority drift and reinforces the discipline of conscious allocation. For those managing multiple projects simultaneously, integration with Kanban Work in Progress (WIP) limits adds another layer of effectiveness. By capping the number of active tasks in each quadrant, you prevent the cognitive dilution that occurs when attention spreads too thin across competing priorities. As your prioritization practice matures, you might explore more advanced scoring models. A weighted impact-effort-joy matrix adds nuance by evaluating tasks on 3 dimensions: their potential impact on your goals, the effort required to complete them, and the satisfaction they provide. This multi-factor approach helps break ties between tasks that might otherwise seem equally important. For major strategic decisions involving significant uncertainty, a Monte Carlo value-at-risk overlay can simulate various outcomes based on probability distributions. This approach is particularly valuable when prioritizing initiatives with high potential variance in results. Visual heat map layering, using color gradients to represent varying degrees of urgency within each quadrant, adds further precision to your prioritization system. This technique helps distinguish between tasks that might fall in the same quadrant but still differ in their relative priority. Despite its power, the priority matrix isn't immune to implementation challenges. Quadrant creep occurs when too many items populate a single quadrant, rendering prioritization ineffective. Combat this by setting hard WIP caps, strict limits on how many items can exist in each quadrant simultaneously. Another common pitfall is the gradual disappearance of Quadrant 2 activities as urgent matters continuously take precedence. Counteract this by scheduling protected maker blocks, uninterrupted time dedicated exclusively to important but not urgent work. These blocks should be treated with the same commitment as any external meeting, creating a non-negotiable space for high-leverage activities. Overgranularity presents a third challenge, as breaking projects into too many microtasks can clutter your matrix and create the illusion of overwhelm. Address this by merging related microtasks into coherent project groupings, maintaining a manageable number of items in each quadrant. To build your prioritization muscle, engage in focused implementation exercises. The Quadrant Blitz Burst, described earlier, provides an immediate clarification of your current task landscape. Follow this with a critical few check, a 1-week experiment where you dramatically limit lower quadrant activities, focusing almost exclusively on quadrants I and II. This temporary constraint often reveals just how many supposedly necessary tasks can actually be eliminated or delegated. Finally, maintain an opportunity cost ledger reflection workbook to document the trade-offs implicit in your allocation decisions. This ongoing record builds awareness of the hidden costs associated with each commitment, gradually refining your intuitive sense of what truly deserves your attention. The priority matrix transforms how you allocate your most precious resources: time, energy, and focus. By distinguishing between the merely urgent and the genuinely important, it ensures your limited bandwidth flows toward activities with disproportionate impact. This deliberate allocation accelerates progress toward your most meaningful goals while reducing the stress of perpetual busyness. With your vision map providing direction, goal precision defining targets, and the priority matrix guiding resource allocation, you've established a powerful foundation for strategic achievement. But knowing what to prioritize isn't enough. You need a coherent plan for moving from current reality to desired future. This requires something more comprehensive than a simple to-do list, something that connects today's priorities with tomorrow's vision through a structured yet adaptable pathway. What exactly is this connective element? The answer awaits in our exploration of the architectural blueprint that transforms isolated priorities into a cohesive journey toward your most ambitious goals. Chapter 4: Strategy Design. What separates those who consistently transform ambitious visions into reality from those who repeatedly fall short? The answer isn't found in working harder or setting better goals. It lies in something more fundamental, a critical element that most people overlook entirely or implement haphazardly. Imagine having a perfectly detailed map to a treasure, knowing exactly what tools you'll need to retrieve it, and even having prioritized which treasures to pursue first. Yet without a clear path through the terrain, accounting for obstacles, alternative routes, and necessary resources, your chances of reaching the treasure diminish dramatically. This missing element is what we'll explore in this chapter. Strategy design is the architectural blueprint that connects your current reality to your desired future. It's the high-level pathway, comprising major initiatives, logical sequencing, and thoughtful resource allocation that bridges today's priorities to tomorrow's vision. When executed properly, it transforms isolated goals into a coherent journey with momentum and resilience. The concept of strategy has existed for millennia, yet its application remains surprisingly inconsistent. Many confuse strategy with goals, what we want to achieve, or tactics, specific actions we'll take. True strategy answers a different question. How will we navigate from here to there, given our constraints and the changing landscape? This distinction becomes clear when we examine two fundamentally different strategic archetypes. Classical strategy thrives in environments with high predictability and stable conditions. It emphasizes efficiency, detailed planning, and linear execution. This approach works beautifully when the path forward is relatively clear and the variables well understood. In contrast, adaptive strategy excels in contexts marked by uncertainty, rapid change, and unpredictable variables. Rather than detailed long-term plans, it prioritizes learning rate, rapid experimentation, and flexibility to pivot as new information emerges. A 2024 systematic review of 71 research papers identified 6 dynamic capabilities that enable organizations to thrive in volatile environments, all centered around this adaptive approach. Most ambitious goals require elements of both archetypes. The dual-track, or ambidextrous model, splits resources between exploitation, optimizing what works, and exploration, discovering new possibilities. This balanced approach maintains operational excellence while creating space for innovation and adaptation. Regardless of which strategic archetype you choose, one principle remains constant. Progress accelerates dramatically when you identify and address the primary constraint in your system. The theory of constraints, developed by physicist Eliyahu Goldratt, provides a powerful framework for this approach. Every system, whether a manufacturing process, a creative project, or a personal development journey, has one primary bottleneck that limits overall throughput. Focusing improvement efforts anywhere else produces minimal results, while elevating the constraint can transform system-wide performance. A 2020 Harvard Business Review study of 113 scale-ups found that constraint-focused sequencing cut time to profitability by 18%, a significant acceleration achieved through strategic focus rather than increased effort. Identifying your primary constraint begins with a 5-why root cause diagnostic. Start by gathering symptoms of system underperformance from various perspectives. These might include missed deadlines, quality issues, resource shortages, or communication breakdowns. Then, for each symptom, drill down through successive why questions to uncover deeper causes. For example, if projects consistently miss deadlines, ask why. Perhaps the answer is, we underestimate the time required. Ask why again, because we don't account for integration challenges. Continue this process until you reach root causes rather than symptoms. Then confirm your findings with objective data, metrics that verify the constraint's impact on overall performance. Once identified, address the constraint using the constraint elevation playbook. First, exploit the constraint by optimizing its current operation without major changes. Extract maximum value from existing resources before investing in expansion. Next, subordinate other processes to the constraint's needs, ensuring it never sits idle due to upstream or downstream issues. Only then should you elevate the constraint through added capacity, redesigned processes, or new capabilities. Finally, implement feedback mechanisms to prevent new constraints from limiting performance as the system evolves. With your primary constraint identified, the next step is crafting a sequenced initiative ladder, a logical progression of major moves that builds momentum while managing risk. Begin by mapping dependencies between initiatives. Which must happen before others can start? Which can proceed in parallel? This dependency map forms the backbone of your strategic sequence. Within this sequence, label reversible cost checkpoints, decision points where you can change course without prohibitive sunk costs. These kill switches preserve optionality, allowing you to abandon underperforming initiatives before they consume excessive resources. Similarly, insert optionality branch points where the strategy can adapt to changing conditions or new information. These deliberate pivot opportunities enhance strategic flexibility without sacrificing momentum. The most resilient strategies maintain this flexibility through what I call an option portfolio, a deliberate allocation of resources to exploratory initiatives alongside your main strategic thrust. Research shows that portfolios reserving approximately 30% of resources for exploratory bets outperform single-path plans by 27% in volatile environments. This option reserve acts as strategic insurance, creating alternative pathways when primary plans encounter unexpected obstacles. Building an effective option portfolio starts with allocating a specific percentage of your resources, typically 10 to 30%, depending on environmental uncertainty, to exploratory initiatives. Within this allocation, design week-long micro-experiments or small bets that test key assumptions or explore alternative approaches. These limited experiments provide valuable learning with minimal risk, gradually revealing which options deserve greater investment. As these experiments yield insights, capture lessons in a decision log database that documents what worked, what didn't, and why. This growing knowledge base informs future decisions, gradually improving your strategic judgment through deliberate reflection rather than vague impressions. Effective strategy design requires ongoing monitoring and adjustment. Establish monthly checkpoint KPIs focused on throughput, how much is getting done, and lead time, how quickly work moves through the system. These operational metrics provide early warning of emerging constraints or process breakdowns. Complement these operational metrics with a strategic flexibility scorecard that assesses your ability to adapt to changing conditions. This might include measures like option reserve percentage, number of active experiments, and time required to pivot major initiatives. Regularly updating this scorecard prevents strategic rigidity, a common failure mode as organizations grow. Finally, establish clear pivot or persevere criteria using traffic light thresholds for key metrics. Green indicates continue as planned, yellow triggers deeper investigation, and red demands immediate strategic adjustment. These predetermined thresholds remove emotion from pivot decisions, ensuring objective responses to emerging data. Despite its power, strategy design faces common pitfalls. Overplanning paralysis occurs when pursuit of perfect clarity delays execution indefinitely. Combat this by applying the 70% clarity threshold rule. Proceed when you have approximately 70% clarity on the path forward, recognizing that execution itself will reveal information no planning process could anticipate. Resource dilution across too many simultaneous initiatives presents another danger. Even with perfect prioritization, cognitive and operational bandwidth limits how many major moves you can execute effectively. The 3-initiative cap provides a practical guardrail, limiting active strategic initiatives to 3 or fewer at any given time. A third common pitfall is ignoring secondary constraints that emerge as primary bottlenecks are addressed. Prevent this through regular full system map audits that reassess constraints as your strategy progresses. This ongoing vigilance ensures resources flow to current limitations rather than yesterday's bottlenecks. Strategy design transforms how you approach ambitious goals by providing a structured yet adaptable pathway from current reality to desired future. It acknowledges constraints while creating optionality, balances exploitation with exploration, and sequences initiatives to build momentum while managing risk. When executed properly, it dramatically increases your odds of turning vision into reality. With your vision map providing direction, goal precision defining targets, priority matrix guiding resource allocation, and strategy design creating a coherent pathway, you've established a powerful foundation for strategic achievement. But even the best strategy remains vulnerable to a silent killer that derails countless worthy initiatives. This invisible force creates friction, consumes mental bandwidth, and gradually erodes momentum until progress grinds to a halt. What is this hidden obstacle, and how can you neutralize it before it undermines your carefully crafted plans? The answer lies in a subtle yet transformative system we'll explore in our next chapter. Chapter 5: System Flow. Why do some people make consistent progress toward their goals, while others start strong but gradually lose momentum? The difference often lies not in motivation or intelligence, but in something far more fundamental, yet frequently overlooked. Consider two professionals with identical skills working towards similar objectives. The first begins each day with clarity, moves efficiently through tasks, and maintains steady progress despite inevitable obstacles. The second constantly battles indecision, gets derailed by interruptions, and expends enormous mental energy just staying on track. By day's end, the first has advanced significantly toward their goals, while the second feels exhausted yet accomplished little. What separates these two individuals? The answer lies in an invisible architecture that shapes behavior, conserves mental energy, and automates progress. This hidden framework, what I call system flow, transforms sporadic effort into consistent advancement, dramatically increasing your odds of achieving ambitious goals. System flow is the art of building repeatable processes and rituals that reduce friction, minimize decision fatigue, and free cognitive bandwidth for high-value thinking. When properly designed, these systems create a sense of inevitability around progress. Tasks advance smoothly through established channels rather than requiring constant willpower and attention. The power of system flow stems from a fundamental insight about human cognition. Our mental resources are severely limited. The brain's executive function, responsible for planning, decision-making, and self-control, depletes with use, much like a muscle. Each decision you make, each distraction you resist, each task transition you navigate consumes this finite resource. Without systems to conserve this precious mental energy, even the most motivated individuals eventually falter. The foundation of effective system flow lies in understanding and leveraging the habit loop, a neurological pattern discovered by researchers at MIT and confirmed by a 2024 neuroscience review as a core mechanism for lasting behavioral change. This loop consists of three elements: a cue that triggers behavior, a routine that follows, and a reward that reinforces the pattern. By consciously designing these loops, rather than letting them form haphazardly, you can transform challenging behaviors into automatic routines that require minimal mental effort. A landmark meta-analysis of 94 experiments found that deliberately forming these automated response patterns raised goal completion rates by approximately 32%, a dramatic improvement achieved not through increased effort, but through strategic system design. Begin building your system flow by mapping your existing habit loops. List the daily cues that trigger your current behaviors, specific times, locations, emotional states, or preceding actions. Then trace the routines that follow each cue and note the rewards, both intended and unintended, that these routines deliver. Finally, tag each loop as productive, advancing your goals, neutral, neither helping nor hindering, or draining, actively impeding progress. This mapping exercise often reveals surprising patterns. You might discover that checking email first thing in the morning, cue, waking up, leads to reactive work, routine, and provides a false sense of productivity, reward, a draining loop that consumes your peak mental energy on low-priority tasks. Or you might find that arriving at your desk, cue, triggers opening social media, routine, and delivers a brief dopamine hit, reward, another draining pattern that delays meaningful work. With your existing loops mapped, you can begin installing more productive patterns using implementation intentions, specific plans that link situations to responses. These if-then statements dramatically increase follow-through by pre-deciding your actions, eliminating the need for in-the-moment willpower. For example, if it's 7 a.m., then I'll open my writing document and work for 30 minutes before checking any messages. The power of implementation intentions comes from their specificity. Rather than the vague intention to write more, you establish a precise trigger and response. This specificity activates automatic cognitive processes, essentially programming your brain to execute the routine when the specified condition occurs. Enhance these implementation intentions by stacking them onto existing cues, a technique called habit stacking. By linking new behaviors to established routines, you leverage existing neural pathways rather than creating entirely new ones. For instance, after I pour my morning coffee, I'll review my 3 most important tasks for the day. Further strengthen these loops by embedding micro-rewards, small, immediate reinforcements that make the behavior more likely to recur. These might include simple pleasures like a brief stretch after completing a task, checking off an item on a list, or a moment of acknowledgement. These small rewards activate the brain's dopamine system, gradually cementing the new pattern. While habit loops automate individual behaviors, complex projects require a different system to maintain flow. This is where Kanban, a visual work management approach, becomes invaluable. An applied 2023 engineering management study showed that optimized Kanban boards shortened project duration by 18%, while boosting perceived control over complex workflows. Begin with a simple 3-column structure: to do, work awaiting action; doing, work in progress; and done, completed work. This visual representation externalizes your workflow, reducing the mental burden of tracking tasks and status. As your system matures, you might add columns for specific stages in your process, but start with this minimal structure to build the habit. The key to Kanban's effectiveness lies in setting work in progress (WIP) limits, explicit constraints on how many items can exist in the doing column simultaneously. These limits prevent the cognitive dilution that occurs when attention spreads across too many concurrent tasks. By forcing completion before starting new work, WIP limits maintain focus and accelerate throughput. Complement your Kanban board with a daily stand review retro cycle, a brief but powerful ritual that maintains system health. Spend 5 minutes standing before your board reviewing what needs attention today, 3 minutes checking progress against expectations, and 5 minutes reflecting on what's working and what needs adjustment. This 13-minute investment pays enormous dividends in clarity and continuous improvement. Beyond individual habits and task management, system flow reaches its full potential when you identify and leverage keystone routines, behaviors whose execution triggers cascades of positive side effects. These high-leverage activities create disproportionate impact by simultaneously advancing multiple goals or enabling numerous subsequent behaviors. Common keystone routines include weekly planning sessions that align daily actions with strategic priorities, end-of-day reviews that capture lessons and prepare for tomorrow, and regular reflection practices that identify emerging patterns and opportunities. The power of these routines comes not just from their direct benefits, but from the numerous positive behaviors they enable downstream. Once identified, elevate these keystone routines by increasing their trigger visibility, prominent calendar reminders, visual cues in your environment, establishing social stakes, accountability partners, public commitments, and automating rewards that reinforce the pattern, tracking streaks, celebrating milestones. These enhancements make your most important routines virtually inevitable, ensuring they persist even when motivation fluctuates. As your system flow matures, implement metrics and dashboards to monitor its health. Track lead time, how long tasks wait before starting; cycle time, how long tasks take to complete once started; and throughput, how many items complete per time period. These metrics reveal system bottlenecks and improvement opportunities that might otherwise remain invisible. Visualize these metrics using a cumulative flow diagram updated weekly. This simple chart shows the number of items in each stage of your process over time, making flow problems immediately apparent. Complement this visualization with threshold alerts for WIP breaches. notifications that trigger when work in progress exceeds established limits, indicating potential system overload. Despite its power, system flow faces common failure modes that require specific remedies. Queue ambiguity occurs when triggers lack specificity, making automated responses less reliable. Address this by sharpening situational triggers, making them more precise in time, location, or preceding action. For instance, morning becomes 7 a.m., office becomes at my desk with computer open, and after work becomes after closing my last work application. Whip explosion happens when too many tasks enter progress simultaneously, diluting focus and slowing completion. Combat this through rigorous enforcement of hard caps on concurrent work, complemented by a ready queue that maintains prioritization without overwhelming your active capacity. This discipline might feel constraining initially, but dramatically improves throughput over time. Reward erosion presents a third challenge, as the same reinforcement gradually loses motivational power through habituation. Counteract this by rotating novelty approximately every 4 weeks, introducing new micro-rewards, tracking mechanisms, or celebration rituals that maintain the dopamine response essential for habit reinforcement. System flow transforms how you approach complex goals by automating progress, reducing decision fatigue, and freeing mental bandwidth for high-value thinking. It replaces the exhausting cycle of motivation-action depletion with sustainable processes that advance your priorities regardless of momentary willpower. When properly implemented, it creates a sense of inevitable progress, the feeling that your systems are working for you rather than you working against resistance. With your vision map providing direction, goal precision defining targets, priority matrix guiding resource allocation, strategy design creating a coherent pathway, and system flow automating execution, you've established a powerful foundation for achieving ambitious goals. Yet, even the most elegant system eventually encounters unexpected challenges or drifts off course. How can you detect these deviations early before they undermine your progress? The answer lies in a critical mechanism that transforms potential failures into valuable course corrections, a mechanism we'll explore in our next chapter. Chapter 6: Feedback Loops. Have you ever watched in frustration as a promising project gradually veered off course, with problems becoming apparent only when they'd grown too large to easily fix? Or perhaps you've experienced the opposite, a situation where early warning signs allowed you to make small adjustments that prevented major issues down the line. The difference between these scenarios often comes down to a critical yet frequently overlooked element of strategic execution. Imagine driving a car without a dashboard, no speedometer, no fuel gauge, no warning lights. You might reach your destination through sheer determination, but you'd have no way to know if you were moving too fast, running low on fuel, or developing engine problems until it was too late. You'd be forced to rely on gut feeling rather than objective information, dramatically increasing your chances of breakdown or delay. This analogy reveals the importance of what we'll explore in this chapter, a system that acts as the dashboard for your strategic journey, providing real-time intelligence that enables timely course corrections. When properly designed, this system transforms potential failures into valuable learning opportunities, dramatically increasing your odds of reaching your destination efficiently. The power of this approach lies in its ability to detect small deviations early when they're still easy to address. Like a spacecraft making tiny thruster adjustments throughout its journey, these ongoing corrections keep you precisely on course with minimal energy expenditure. Without them, even minor initial errors compound over time, eventually requiring massive effort to get back on track, if recovery is possible at all. This critical system, what I call feedback loops, consists of fast, data-driven mechanisms that inform mid-course corrections before small errors snowball into major problems. When implemented effectively, these loops create a continuous conversation between your intentions and reality, allowing you to adapt with precision rather than persisting blindly or changing direction haphazardly. The concept of feedback loops comes from control theory in engineering, where where systems maintain desired states by continuously comparing actual conditions to target values and adjusting inputs accordingly. Your home thermostat exemplifies this principle. It measures current temperature, compares it to your target setting, and activates heating or cooling as needed to maintain the desired state. This same principle applies powerfully to strategic execution. By establishing clear metrics that reflect progress toward your goals, regularly measuring current performance, and making calibrated adjustments based on the gap between actual and target values, you create a self-correcting system that stays on course despite inevitable obstacles and changing conditions. The foundation of effective feedback loops lies in crafting tight metrics, clear, specific measurements that accurately reflect progress toward your goals. For each objective, define at least one leading indicator and one lagging indicator. Leading indicators predict future performance, providing early warning of potential issues, while lagging indicators confirm actual results, validating whether your strategy is working as intended. For example, if your goal is to build a successful online course, a leading indicator might be landing page conversion rate, predicting future enrollments, while a lagging indicator would be actual enrollment numbers, confirming results. By tracking both types, you gain both predictive power and definitive validation. Ensure these metrics provide fresh data, ideally with no more than a 24-hour delay between activity and measurement. Stale information dramatically reduces your ability to make timely adjustments, essentially forcing you to drive while looking only in the rearview mirror. Modern analytics tools make real-time or near-real-time data increasingly accessible across domains, eliminating this constraint for most applications. With your metrics established, build the OODA journaling habit, a powerful practice derived from military strategist John Boyd's decision cycle of observe, orient, decide, and act. This structured approach to processing feedback accelerates learning and adaptation, creating a virtuous cycle of continuous improvement. Begin by observing, capturing raw metrics daily without immediate judgment or interpretation. This discipline creates an objective record of what's actually happening rather than what you think or hope is happening. Next, orient by annotating anomalies and patterns in context, connecting the dots between different metrics and environmental factors. This sense-making step transforms raw data into actionable intelligence. Based on this intelligence, decide on specific micro-adjustments to address gaps or capitalize on opportunities. These should be small, targeted interventions rather than wholesale strategy changes, the equivalent of gentle steering corrections rather than emergency maneuvers. Finally, act by implementing these adjustments before the next observation cycle, creating a continuous loop of measurement and response. A systematic review of industrial agile projects highlighted this type of metrics-driven feedback as a key driver of sprint predictability and planning accuracy. Teams that maintained disciplined measurement and response cycles consistently outperformed those that relied on intuition or delayed feedback, even when both groups used identical methodologies in other respects. To support your feedback loops, develop an appropriate instrumentation toolbox, the technical infrastructure that collects, processes, and presents your metrics. For many purposes, low-code dashboard platforms like Looker Studio or Metabase provide sufficient capabilities without requiring extensive technical expertise. These tools connect to your data sources and create visual representations that make patterns and anomalies immediately apparent. Complement these dashboards with automated alerts that notify you when metrics cross predetermined thresholds. These notifications, delivered via email, Slack, or other channels, ensure you're aware of significant deviations even when you're not actively monitoring your dashboards. For more sophisticated needs, consider implementing an A/B switchboard, a system that allows you to test alternative approaches simultaneously and compare results directly. The effectiveness of your feedback loops depends not just on what you measure, but on when and how you review the information. Establish momentum-protecting cadences, regular review cycles that balance timely awareness with focused execution. Begin with daily microchecks lasting no more than 5 minutes, quick glances at your most critical metrics to confirm you're on track or identify issues requiring immediate attention. Complement these daily checks with a weekly calibration hour, a more comprehensive 60-minute review of all key metrics, patterns, and potential adjustments. This session provides the space for deeper analysis while maintaining a rapid response cycle. Finally, conduct a monthly strategy retro that connects your metrics back to your vision and high-level strategy, ensuring tactical adjustments remain aligned with your ultimate objectives. A 2024 laboratory experiment found that constructive, immediately useful feedback activated reward circuitry similarly to monetary incentives, accelerating learning curves and improving performance. This neurological finding explains why well-designed feedback loops not only improve outcomes, but also increase motivation and engagement. They tap into the brain's natural reward systems, making the process of improvement intrinsically satisfying. As your feedback practice matures, explore advanced techniques that enhance predictive power and decision quality. Rolling forecast models using simple exponential smoothing can project future performance based on current trends, giving you a preview of where you're headed if current patterns continue. Metric trees visually map the relationships between inputs, outputs, and outcomes, clarifying which leading indicators most strongly predict lagging results. For complex initiatives with significant uncertainty, confidence interval dashboards display not just current values, but the range of likely future values based on historical variance. These can be color-coded with traffic light thresholds: green indicating high confidence of meeting targets, yellow suggesting potential issues requiring attention, and red signaling high probability of missing targets without significant intervention. A product analytics case study from 2024 demonstrated the power of these advanced techniques. Teams guided by leading indicators identified in metric trees pivoted 2 sprints sooner than teams using only lagging indicators and ultimately doubled conversion lift as a result. This dramatic performance difference came not from working harder, but from responding earlier to emerging patterns. Despite their power, feedback loops face common pitfalls that require specific guardrails. Metric overload occurs when you track too many indicators simultaneously, creating information fatigue and diluting attention. Combat this by applying the vital few rule. Limit your regular tracking to 5 or fewer key metrics that provide maximum insight with minimum noise. Vanity KPIs present another danger: metrics that look impressive but don't meaningfully connect to strategic outcomes. Stress test each metric's actionability by asking, if this number changed significantly, would I know exactly what action to take? If the answer is no, the metric may be interesting but not useful for driving decisions. Feedback lag, the delay between activity and measurement, can render even well-chosen metrics ineffective by providing insights too late for timely response. Continuously work to shorten collection cycles, moving from monthly to weekly to daily, or even real-time feedback where possible. Modern analytics tools and automation increasingly make this acceleration feasible across domains. To build your feedback muscle, engage in focused implementation exercises. The Metric Makeover worksheet guides you through evaluating and refining your current metrics against criteria of predictiveness, freshness, and actionability. The OODA Journal 7-Day Sprint establishes the habit of structured feedback processing through daily guided reflection. The Calibration Hour Agenda template provides a ready-to-use structure for weekly metric reviews, ensuring comprehensive coverage without wasted time. Feedback loops transform how you navigate toward ambitious goals by creating a continuous conversation between intention and reality. They replace the flawed approach of set it and forget it with a dynamic process of ongoing calibration, dramatically increasing your odds of reaching your destination efficiently despite inevitable obstacles and changing conditions. With your vision map providing direction, goal precision defining targets, priority matrix guiding resource allocation, strategy design creating a coherent pathway, system flow automating execution, and feedback loops enabling continuous adjustment, you've established a powerful foundation for achieving ambitious goals. Yet even with these elements in place, a critical question remains. How can you dramatically amplify your impact without proportionally increasing your effort? The answer lies in a force multiplier, so powerful that those who master it can achieve in months what others require years to accomplish, a force we'll explore in our next chapter. Chapter 7: Resource Leverage. Have you ever wondered why some people accomplish exponentially more than others, despite having the same 24 hours in a day? Or why certain professionals seem to generate remarkable results with apparent ease, while others work tirelessly yet make only incremental progress? The difference often comes down to a principle that the most accomplished individuals understand intuitively, yet many overlook entirely. Imagine two professionals with identical skills, experience, and goals. The first works diligently, handling every task personally and making steady progress through sheer effort. The second appears to be working less intensely, yet produces dramatically greater results. What explains this disparity? It's not about working harder or even smarter in the conventional sense. It's about something far more powerful, a force multiplier that transforms how output relates to input. This multiplier, what I call resource leverage, is the art of amplifying your impact through the intelligent use of time, money, skills, technology, and partnerships. When mastered, it allows you to accomplish in months what might otherwise take years, creating a widening gap between effort expended and results achieved. The concept of leverage comes from physics, where it describes using a lever to multiply force. Archimedes famously declared, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." This same principle applies to strategic achievement. With the right leverage points, you can move mountains with surprisingly little direct force. Resource leverage takes many forms, each offering unique advantages in different contexts. Financial leverage uses capital to acquire assets or capabilities that generate ongoing returns. Technology leverage employs tools and automation to perform tasks that would otherwise require human attention. Network leverage activates relationships and connections to access opportunities and resources beyond your direct control. Knowledge leverage applies intellectual property, systems, and expertise that can be used repeatedly without depletion. The power of these leverage forms becomes clear when we examine their impact across domains. Task delegation research in healthcare teams linked high leverage practices to a 34% throughput boost, alongside higher job satisfaction. Teams that effectively distributed tasks according to comparative advantage not only accomplished more, but experienced greater fulfillment in the process. Similarly, Bain's 2024 automation scorecard, analyzing 893 firms across industries, showed that leaders in technology leverage reaped 22% cost savings and surpassed ROI break-even after just 3 years. These organizations didn't merely replace human effort with technology, they strategically redeployed human capacity to higher value activities while automating routine processes. Even individual tools can create remarkable leverage when properly applied. Field data from 2024 revealed that software developers using GitHub Copilot, an AI coding assistant, saw a 10.6% rise in merged pull requests and a 3.5-hour cycle time reduction per developer. This technology leverage didn't replace human creativity, but amplified it by handling routine coding tasks and suggesting solutions to common problems. Building your resource leverage begins with a comprehensive leverage inventory and gap scan. Catalog your existing assets under 5 categories: financial, capital, credit, investments; technological, tools, software, automation; network, relationships, communities, platforms; knowledge, expertise, intellectual property, systems; and temporal, time, attention, energy. For each asset, score its current utilization on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 representing optimal leverage. Flag any asset scoring below 6 as underutilized, a potential leverage point waiting to be activated. Then prioritize the top 2 leverage gaps to close, focusing your improvement efforts where they'll create the greatest impact. This inventory often reveals surprising opportunities. You might discover untapped knowledge assets that could be systematized and scaled, technological tools with features you're not utilizing, or network connections with complementary skills that could create mutual benefit through collaboration. With your leverage gaps identified, delegation mastery offers a powerful starting point for improvement. Begin by identifying low ROI tasks through a simple dollar per hour calculation. Estimate the market value of your time based on your expertise and impact potential, then evaluate each recurring task against this benchmark. Any task worth significantly less than your hourly value becomes a prime delegation candidate. Once identified, craft clear outcome-based briefs for these tasks. Unlike vague instructions that require constant clarification, outcome-based briefs specify the desired result, quality standards, and constraints while leaving implementation details to the delegate. This approach leverages the delegate's creativity and problem-solving abilities rather than merely using their time as an extension of yours. Maintain a feedback loop with delegates through brief daily or weekly synchronization meetings. These 5-minute check-ins prevent misalignment while building mutual understanding over time. As trust and capability develop, you can gradually reduce oversight while maintaining quality, creating true leverage rather than merely shifting administrative burden. Beyond delegation, the technology automation playbook offers another powerful leverage pathway. Begin with a simple decision tree. For each recurring task, determine whether it should be automated, handled by technology with minimal human involvement, outsourced, performed by external specialists, or eliminated, reconsidered as potentially unnecessary. For automation candidates, calculate the payback period using a tool ROI sheet that compares implementation costs against time savings valued at your hourly rate. This analysis often reveals that tools with seemingly significant upfront costs pay for themselves remarkably quickly when measured against the value of time reclaimed. To build momentum, pilot one automation solution within 14 days, a time frame short enough to maintain focus, yet long enough to implement a meaningful change. This might involve setting up email filters and templates, implementing project management automation, or deploying specialized tools for your domain. The specific solution matters less than establishing the habit of actively seeking and implementing leverage through technology. Network and knowledge leverage provide additional multiplication pathways. Map your weak tie expertise graph, the extended network of connections who possess specialized knowledge or capabilities complementary to yours. Unlike close connections, who often share similar expertise, these weak ties frequently offer novel perspectives and complementary skills that create powerful leverage opportunities. Schedule monthly knowledge share sessions with selected connections from this network, creating mutual benefit through exchange rather than one-sided extraction. These structured conversations often reveal collaboration opportunities, resource sharing possibilities, and innovative approaches that wouldn't emerge through isolated effort. Simultaneously, create a systematic operating procedure, SOP, wiki, to codify your tacit know-how, the expertise that currently exists only in your mind. This documentation transforms personal knowledge into a scalable asset that can be shared, delegated, or even productized. The process of creating these procedures often reveals inefficiencies and improvement opportunities that would otherwise remain hidden in habitual practice. The most powerful form of resource leverage comes from adopting a compounding asset strategy, deliberately investing in tools, relationships, and capabilities with nonlinear payoff curves. Unlike linear assets that deliver proportional returns to investment, compounding assets create accelerating returns over time, eventually generating massive output with minimal additional input. Implement this strategy by reinvesting approximately 10% of gains, whether financial returns, time saved, or capacity created, into skill or tool upgrades that further enhance your leverage capability. Track the compounding curve quarterly, measuring not just current returns but the growth rate of those returns. This metric reveals whether your leverage is truly compounding or merely accumulating linearly. Despite its power, resource leverage faces common pitfalls requiring specific mitigations. Over-delegation without clarity creates confusion and ultimately increases rather than decreases your management burden. Combat this by using service-level agreement checklists that clearly specify expectations, standards, and communication protocols for each delegated responsibility. Tool sprawl presents another danger, accumulating so many technological solutions that the overhead of managing them outweighs their individual benefits. Prevent this through quarterly stack audits that evaluate each tool's ongoing ROI and eliminate those no longer creating sufficient value. This discipline ensures your technology leverage remains focused and efficient rather than becoming an administrative burden. Perhaps most insidiously, neglecting relationship maintenance can gradually erode network leverage as connections weaken or priorities shift. Counteract this through deliberate calendar touchpoints, scheduled check-ins with key network members that maintain relationships independent of immediate needs. These investments in relationship capital ensure your network remains vibrant and responsive when leverage opportunities arise. Resource leverage transforms how you approach ambitious goals by multiplying your impact without proportionally increasing your effort. It replaces the limiting belief that achievement requires sacrifice with the liberating reality that strategic leverage can create exponential results from finite inputs. When properly implemented, it allows you to accomplish not just more, but different, to pursue opportunities that would be impossible through direct effort alone. With your vision map providing direction, goal precision defining targets, priority matrix guiding resource allocation, strategy design creating a coherent pathway, system flow automating execution, feedback loops enabling continuous adjustment, and resource leverage multiplying your impact, you've established a powerful foundation for achieving ambitious goals. Yet even with these elements in place, an invisible force threatens to undermine your progress at any moment. This silent saboteur has derailed countless worthy initiatives, often without leaving obvious traces of its destructive influence. What is this hidden threat, and how can you protect your strategic plans from its corrosive effects? The answer awaits in our exploration of the protective shield every successful strategy requires. Chapter 8: Risk Guard. Why do some ambitious initiatives succeed, while others, equally well planned and executed, collapse unexpectedly? The difference often lies not in what their creators did, but in what they prepared for. This critical distinction reveals a paradoxical truth. Sometimes the key to moving forward confidently lies in deliberately looking for what could go wrong. Consider two professionals pursuing similar goals with comparable skills and resources. The first charges ahead with optimism and determination, focusing exclusively on their vision of success. The second moves with equal enthusiasm, but takes time to anticipate potential obstacles, preparing contingencies for likely challenges. When unexpected difficulties arise, as they inevitably do, the first professional is caught off guard, forced to react hastily with limited options. The second smoothly implements preconsidered responses, maintaining momentum despite the disruption. This contrast highlights the importance of what we'll explore in this chapter: a protective system that doesn't merely defend against threats, but transforms uncertainty from a liability into a strategic advantage. When properly implemented, this system allows you to pursue ambitious goals with greater confidence, knowing you've prepared for the unexpected without sacrificing initiative or momentum. The power of this approach lies in its ability to distinguish between productive risk-taking, essential for meaningful achievement, and unnecessary exposure, which creates vulnerability without corresponding reward. This distinction allows you to be simultaneously bold in pursuing opportunities and prudent in managing potential downsides, a combination that characterizes the most successful strategic thinkers across domains. This critical system, what I call Risk Guard, enables you to recognize, quantify, and mitigate uncertainties that threaten strategic objectives without stifling initiative. It replaces both naive optimism, nothing will go wrong, and paralyzing caution, too many things could go wrong, with a balanced approach that acknowledges reality while maintaining forward momentum. The foundation of effective Risk Guard lies in expected value thinking, a framework that evaluates potential threats based on both probability and impact. Rather than treating all risks equally or focusing exclusively on worst-case scenarios, this approach prioritizes attention based on the mathematical expectation of loss, allowing for more rational resource allocation. Begin building your risk guard with the pre-mortem visualization, a powerful technique that leverages psychological distance to identify potential failure points. Unlike a post-mortem that analyzes what went wrong after the fact, a pre-mortem imagines a future where your initiative has already failed and works backward to identify what caused the failure. Start this exercise by writing a hypothetical future headline announcing your project's collapse. Make it specific and realistic. Project X abandoned after missing third consecutive deadline, or Initiative Y terminated due to unexpected regulatory changes. This concrete visualization bypasses the optimism bias that typically blinds us to potential problems during planning. With this failure scenario established, trace the causal chain backward, identifying the sequence of events that led to this outcome. This reverse chronology often reveals non-obvious vulnerabilities that forward-looking planning tends to miss. Pay particular attention to cascading failures where one problem triggers others, creating compounding negative effects. Complement this qualitative approach with a quantitative risk matrix that systematically evaluates potential threats. Identify your top 10 risks, then score each on both likelihood and impact using a simple 1 to 5 scale. Plot these scores on a 5x5 grid, creating a visual heat map that immediately highlights which risks deserve priority attention. This matrix provides a starting point, but recent research in humanities and social sciences communications has critiqued traditional probability impact matrices for oversimplifying complex uncertainties. To address these limitations, calculate the expected value loss for each risk by multiplying probability, impact, and estimated cost. This calculation provides a more nuanced prioritization than the simple matrix alone. For high-stakes projects with complex interdependencies, consider running Monte Carlo simulations that model thousands of possible outcomes based on probability distributions rather than single-point estimates. These simulations reveal not just the most likely outcome, but the full range of possibilities, including low-probability, high-impact scenarios that might otherwise be overlooked. With risks identified and prioritized, establish a mitigation ROI threshold that determines which risks warrant active intervention. Not every risk justifies preventive measures. The cost of mitigation must be proportional to the expected value of the loss. This threshold ensures you don't overinvest in addressing minor risks while neglecting more significant threats. Beyond specific risk mitigations, the barbell strategy provides a powerful structural approach to managing uncertainty. Developed by statistician Nassim Nicholas Taleb, this strategy combines a secure foundation, minimizing downside, with calculated high-upside opportunities, maximizing potential gains. Begin implementing this approach by defining your secure core, the essential resources, capabilities, and revenue streams that must be protected to ensure survival regardless of what happens. This might include cash reserves, established customer relationships, or core competencies that maintain value across scenarios. With this foundation secured, allocate approximately 10 to 20% of your resources to high optionality experiments, initiatives with limited downside but substantial upside potential. These asymmetric bets create exposure to positive black swan events, extremely beneficial but unpredictable outcomes, while your secure core protects against negative ones. The effectiveness of this barbell allocation was demonstrated in a 2025 asset analysis, which found that portfolios using this approach suffered roughly half the maximum drawdown experienced by conventional balanced portfolios during the 2022-24 market shocks. This dramatic difference in resilience came not from predicting specific events, but from structuring resources to withstand a wide range of scenarios. Even with these quantitative approaches, human blind spots remain a significant vulnerability. The Red Team protocol addresses this limitation by deliberately challenging your assumptions through structured critique. Assemble a diverse group of thoughtful skeptics, people with different perspectives, expertise, and thinking styles than those who created the original plan. Task this red team with actively seeking flaws in your strategy through tabletop attack scenarios. In these exercises, red team members role-play potential adversaries, competitors, market forces, or other challenges attempting to defeat your plan. This adversarial thinking often reveals vulnerabilities that remain invisible when everyone shares the same perspective. A 2023 multi-industry evaluation reported that red teaming uncovered 30% more critical vulnerabilities than standard review processes. This dramatic improvement in risk identification came not from more thorough analysis, but from the fundamental shift in perspective that occurs when people deliberately adopt an opposing viewpoint. Document all identified vulnerabilities and assign specific owners responsible for monitoring and addressing each risk. This accountability ensures that identified issues don't fall through the cracks amid competing priorities. The owner need not personally implement all mitigations, but must track the risk and escalate if conditions change or responses prove inadequate. Effective risk guard requires ongoing attention rather than one-time analysis. Establish a continuous risk governance system, beginning with a monthly risk dashboard refresh that updates key indicators and emerging threats. This regular review prevents the common failure mode where initial risk assessment becomes outdated as conditions evolve. Complement this regular review with trigger thresholds for auto-escalation, predetermined metrics that automatically elevate a risk's priority when crossed. These objective triggers prevent the human tendency to normalize gradually worsening conditions, ensuring timely response before small issues become major problems. Annually, conduct a comprehensive crisis simulation drill that tests your response capabilities under pressure. Unlike theoretical reviews, these simulations reveal practical gaps in communication, decision-making, and resource deployment that only become apparent during execution. The insights gained often prove invaluable when real challenges emerge. Despite its power, RiskGuard faces common pitfalls requiring specific remedies. Analysis paralysis occurs when the pursuit of perfect information delays necessary action. Combat this by time-boxing your initial matrix build to 60 minutes, forcing prioritization of the most significant risks rather than attempting exhaustive analysis. Over-insuring against low-impact risks presents another danger, consuming resources better allocated elsewhere. Apply the expected value filter rigorously, ensuring mitigation efforts concentrate on threats with meaningful potential impact rather than spreading attention across every conceivable risk. Perhaps most insidiously, blind spot complacency develops as teams become comfortable with their risk assessment approach, gradually becoming blind to the limitations of their own perspective. Counter this by regularly rotating red team members, introducing fresh viewpoints that challenge established assumptions and identify emerging vulnerabilities. To build your risk management muscle, engage in focused implementation exercises. The Pre-Mortem Session Guide provides a structured protocol for imagining and analyzing potential failure modes. The Risk Matrix template offers a ready-to-use framework for evaluating and prioritizing identified threats. The Barbell Allocation Worksheet helps you balance security and optionality across your resource portfolio. RiskGuard transforms how you approach uncertainty by converting vague anxieties into specific, manageable scenarios. It replaces both reckless optimism and paralyzing caution with a balanced approach that acknowledges reality while maintaining forward momentum. When properly implemented, it allows you to pursue ambitious goals with greater confidence, knowing you've prepared for the unexpected without sacrificing initiative. With your vision map providing direction, goal precision defining targets, priority matrix guiding resource allocation, strategy design creating a coherent pathway, system flow automating execution, feedback loops enabling continuous adjustment, resource leverage multiplying your impact, and RiskGuard protecting against threats, you've established a powerful foundation for achieving ambitious goals. Yet even with these elements in place, a subtle force determines whether your efforts culminate in lasting success or gradually fade away. This invisible factor, more psychological than tactical, separates those who achieve momentary wins from those who create transformative, enduring results. What is this crucial final element, and how can you harness it to ensure your strategic efforts compound rather than dissipate? The answer awaits in our exploration of the sustaining force that turns isolated achievements into unstoppable momentum. Chapter 9: Momentum Cycle. Why do some people maintain unwavering progress toward ambitious goals, while others start strong but gradually lose steam? What separates those who create lasting change from those who cycle through periods of intense effort followed by abandonment? The answer lies not in initial motivation or even in strategic brilliance, but in something far more fundamental, yet frequently overlooked. Consider two professionals pursuing similar long-term objectives. Both begin with enthusiasm and clear plans. The first maintains steady progress for weeks, then months, then years, weathering obstacles, plateaus, and changing circumstances with remarkable resilience. The second starts just as strongly but gradually loses energy as initial excitement fades, eventually abandoning the goal or replacing it with a new enthusiasm that follows the same pattern. This contrast reveals the importance of what we'll explore in this final chapter: a sustainable energy system that powers long-term achievement when motivation inevitably fluctuates. When properly designed, this system transforms sporadic bursts of progress into continuous forward momentum, allowing you to persist long enough for compounding gains to create transformative results. The power of this approach lies in its recognition of a fundamental reality. Human psychology isn't designed for constant output. Our natural rhythms include periods of intense focus and necessary recovery, cycles of progress and consolidation. By working with these rhythms rather than fighting against them, you create sustainable momentum that carries you through the inevitable valleys between peaks of motivation. This critical system, what I call the momentum cycle, enables you to sustain energy and commitment long enough to reap compounding gains, even when novelty fades and challenges arise. It replaces the common but flawed approach of relying on initial enthusiasm with a sustainable engine that generates ongoing motivation through strategic psychological reinforcement. The foundation of effective momentum cycle lies in what researchers call the progress principle: the discovery that perceiving progress, even in small increments, triggers dopamine release that reinforces continued effort. This neurological reward system creates a virtuous cycle where today's progress increases motivation for tomorrow's effort, gradually building momentum that becomes increasingly self-sustaining. Begin building your momentum cycle with a daily win logging system that deliberately captures and celebrates progress. At day's end, document 3 specific wins, tangible advancements toward your goals, regardless of size, and 2 gratitudes that foster a positive emotional state. This simple practice takes just minutes, but dramatically shifts your perception from what remains undone to what you've already accomplished. A 2024 workplace survey reported that professionals keeping these wins journals had 19% higher 6-month goal completion rates compared to those who didn't track progress. This significant performance difference came not from working harder, but from maintaining motivational energy through deliberate progress recognition. Enhance this practice by tagging each win to your overarching objectives, creating visible connections between daily actions and long-term aspirations. This linkage transforms seemingly minor tasks into meaningful contributions towards significant goals, imbuing routine work with greater purpose and satisfaction. Weekly, review these accumulated wins to identify patterns of progress and stagnation. This meta-analysis reveals which activities consistently generate momentum and which tend to drain energy without proportional results. Over time, this insight allows you to optimize your approach, focusing effort where it creates the greatest forward movement. Beyond tracking progress, building self-efficacy loops dramatically enhances sustained momentum. Self-efficacy, a concept developed by psychologist Albert Bandura, refers to your belief in your capability to achieve specific outcomes. This belief powerfully predicts perseverance in the face of obstacles, with high-efficacy individuals showing remarkable resilience when confronted with setbacks that derail others. Strengthen your self-efficacy through deliberately structured mastery experiences, progressive challenges designed to build confidence through accumulated success. Rather than facing daunting tasks that risk failure and diminished confidence, create challenge ramps that gradually increase in difficulty, allowing you to build a strong foundation of success experiences. A 2023 randomized controlled trial found that a brief self-efficacy enhancement intervention increased digital program adherence by 19%. This significant improvement in follow-through came from systematically building participants' confidence in their ability to complete the program, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of attempt, success, increased confidence, and greater persistence. Complement these personal mastery experiences with social modeling, deliberate exposure to peers who demonstrate success in your target domains. This vicarious experience powerfully influences your belief in what's possible, especially when you perceive the model as similar to yourself. Seek out and regularly engage with individuals slightly ahead of you on similar paths, absorbing their approaches and internalizing their confidence. Further reinforce self-efficacy through verbal persuasion, deliberately crafted self-talk cues that counter limiting beliefs and reinforce capability. Script specific phrases addressing your common doubt patterns, then deploy them strategically when facing challenges. This internal dialogue shapes your perception of obstacles, transforming "I can't handle this" into "I've overcome similar challenges before and have the resources to do so again." While progress tracking and self-efficacy building provide psychological fuel, designing renewal cycles addresses the physical and mental energy required for sustained effort. A meta-review of 22 experiments showed that micro breaks under 10 minutes increased workers' vigor by approximately 60%, a dramatic energy boost from brief but strategic pauses. Implement this finding through a modified Pomodoro technique using a 90-20 focus recovery ratio, 90 minutes of concentrated work followed by 20 minutes of genuine recovery. This rhythm aligns with natural ultradian cycles in human energy, allowing you to maintain higher average productivity than attempting to sustain continuous focus. Extend this oscillation principle to longer timeframes by incorporating a monthly deload week, operating at approximately 50% of normal workload. This deliberate reduction prevents accumulating fatigue while providing space for reflection, integration, and creative insights that rarely emerge during periods of constant output. At the annual level, design a Sabbath day plan, a complete work stoppage for strategic renewal. This practice, common across cultures and religious traditions, recognizes the profound importance of complete disconnection for maintaining long-term energy and perspective. Schedule these days in advance as non-negotiable commitments to your sustainable performance. To visualize and reinforce your growing momentum, implement momentum mapping, a visual representation of your cumulative progress over time. Chart key metrics on a simple graph, creating a tangible record of advancement that becomes increasingly motivating as the upward curve develops. This visualization makes abstract progress concrete, providing powerful motivation during inevitable plateaus. On this map, highlight inflection points, both plateaus where progress temporarily stalled and breakthroughs where advancement accelerated. These annotations transform potential discouragement during plateaus into valuable context, revealing that temporary slowdowns have historically preceded significant breakthroughs when you maintained consistent effort. Complement this data visualization with deliberate celebration of milestone anniversaries, marking not just achievement of specific targets, but persistence in the pursuit itself. Celebrate 30 days, 90 days, 1 year of consistent effort toward your goals, regardless of outcomes achieved. This practice honors the most predictive factor in long-term success, the ability to stay in the game when others quit. Despite its power, the momentum cycle faces common pitfalls requiring specific safeguards. Win inflation occurs when standards for what constitutes a win gradually diminish, reducing the psychological impact of the logging practice. Combat this by maintaining meaningful criteria for what qualifies as progress, ensuring each documented win represents genuine advancement rather than participation. Recovery guilt presents another challenge, the tendency to view necessary renewal as indulgence or weakness. Address this by scheduling breaks as non-negotiable components of your performance system rather than optional luxuries. Reframe recovery as essential strategic investment rather than time off, recognizing that sustainable output requires oscillation between effort and renewal. Perhaps most insidiously, plateau panic emerges when progress inevitably slows after initial rapid advancement. This perceived stagnation often triggers abandonment just before breakthrough would occur. Counter this by zooming out to view your long-term progress curve, recognizing that plateaus are normal features of any significant growth journey rather than indicators of failure or limitation. To build your momentum muscle, engage in focused implementation exercises. The WinLog 30-Day Challenge establishes the daily habit of progress recognition through structured reflection. The Recovery Ritual Planner helps you design and implement strategic renewal at multiple timeframes, from daily microbreaks to annual sabbaticals. The Momentum Map graph building session creates a visual representation of your progress journey, highlighting both achievements and the persistence that made them possible. The momentum cycle transforms how you approach long-term achievement by creating sustainable energy that persists when initial motivation inevitably fades. It replaces the common but flawed approach of relying on willpower and enthusiasm with a self-reinforcing system that generates ongoing motivation through strategic psychological reinforcement. When properly implemented, it allows you to persist long enough for compounding gains to create transformative results that would be impossible through sporadic effort alone. With your vision map providing direction, goal precision defining targets, priority matrix guiding resource allocation, strategy design creating a coherent pathway, system flow automating execution, feedback loops enabling continuous adjustment, resource leverage multiplying your impact, risk guard protecting against threats, and momentum cycle sustaining your energy, you've mastered the complete system for transforming ambitious aspirations into tangible reality. This integrated approach, strategic planning, the art of mapping goals into reality, represents a fundamental shift in how you pursue meaningful achievement. It replaces hope with strategy, confusion with clarity, and sporadic effort with sustainable progress. It acknowledges the complex reality of significant accomplishment while providing practical tools to navigate that complexity with confidence and resilience. The ultimate power of this system lies not in any individual component, but in their synergistic integration. Each element addresses a specific challenge in the achievement journey, together creating a comprehensive architecture that dramatically increases your odds of transforming even your most ambitious visions into lived reality. As you implement these principles, remember that mastery comes through application rather than mere understanding. Begin with a single component that addresses your most pressing challenge, implement it fully, then gradually incorporate additional elements as your capacity and confidence grow. This progressive integration allows you to build momentum with the system itself, creating a meta-application of the very principles you're learning. The journey of strategic achievement is not a straight line, but a spiral of expanding capability. Each cycle of vision, precision, prioritization, design, flow, feedback, leverage, risk management, and momentum builds upon the last, creating not just external results, but internal transformation. You become not just someone who achieves goals, but someone who embodies strategic excellence as a fundamental orientation to life and work. This transformation represents the ultimate leverage point, the moment when strategic thinking becomes not something you do, but something you are. At this inflection point, your capacity for meaningful achievement expands exponentially, limited only by the scope of your vision and the persistence of your commitment. The path to this mastery now lies open before you, illuminated by the principles and practices we've explored together. The question that remains is not whether these approaches work. Decades of research, and countless success stories have answered that definitively. The question is whether you will apply them with the consistency and commitment they require. The answer to that question will determine whether your most cherished aspirations remain beautiful dreams or become your lived reality. The choice, and the extraordinary possibility it contains, is yours. Yet even the most brilliant strategic plan faces one fundamental challenge: the human mind's natural resistance to difficult tasks and sustained effort. This internal resistance can silently undermine your vision map, precision goals, and carefully designed systems. What if you could transform this resistance into a powerful ally, training your brain to actually seek out and embrace challenges rather than avoid them? The solution to this final obstacle, the key that unlocks everything else we've discussed, awaits in the audiobook Manipulate Yourself, Train Your Brain to Do Hard Things. Tap the center of the video now to continue your transformation journey.